Hello, this is Dale. I'm going to do a quick exterior tour of our Wanderer 36 Mallard, and she's actually sitting in Harlingen, the Norderhaven, the North Harbour, and it's just an absolutely beautiful evening. The birds are singing, and I'm going to try to do this quite quickly. So as you can see, she's got a light grey hull. Looks almost white, but it is actually just a little off-white. And the reason we went with that colour was because in warmer climates, hopefully the Med, the lighter hull supposedly doesn't get as hot inside and maybe stands up a little better. Although I love the darker hulls, the dark navy blue, really they're my favourite. We went with this grey as suggested by the builder, Heel, and we're really pleased with the way she looks. You can see she's a raised salon, so you can see the windows in the cabin are sort of quite tall compared with some yachts, and she's got a cutter rig, so you can see the mainsail. Obviously it's furled away into the mast, so it's in mast furling. That's the main, and then there's a small jib which unfurls from this, and then there's a genoa here, so there's two sort of white sails for general sailing and a main, so there's three sails there. We've also got a what they call a top-down furling jenica, which is a very large sail that's good for sort of off the wind, maybe from reaching down to running, so if the wind's behind you or to the side of you, that's going to be like a really massive sail, really for light air. So we'd have to use it only when maybe the wind is 10 knots or below. We'll see, but it's a lot of sail and we'll have to be very careful with how we use her. Anyway, that's the sail plan. As you can see, we've got the Dutch flag on the starboard spreader, that's the courtesy flag, and we've got a red ensign and a small flag, which is the Frisian flag that has like little hearts, but apparently the hooves in red. So those are the flags we've got currently. You can see this bowsprit here. It comes about, I guess, about a metre from the front of the boat, and the genoa roller furler, which is this guy here. So that furls that big white sail, and then we've got this here for the top-down furling jenica, which is actually it is a white sail, although often that would be a coloured sail, sort of similar to a spinnaker. And also, this bowsprit is good for mounting the anchor, and this anchor is a Vulcan, a Rockner Vulcan, which in all the specs I've read seems to do a really good job, although as you can see it's brand new and never been used, and hopefully we'll get to use it before long, perhaps on the Isle of Wight or the Isles of Scilly, perhaps on the Wadden Sea, which is actually just at the end of the harbour here. And we did sail out to Vlieland about a week ago with my brother, but we went to the marina and didn't use the anchor. You can see there's a sort of that hole there where the anchor chain goes into the onto the deck, and I'll show the other side of that in a minute. But it's sort of really neat the way that there's all this stainless that's been built really custom by Heel's builders in Turkey. So they've done a really lovely job with this bowsprit and the railings, which are very strong. So that sort of custom stainless steel work is really cool. Anyway, I'm going to sort of walk along this deck here, hopefully without falling in. And you can see that we've got sort of a number of fenders. I think we may be buying some more. I'm just going to walk aboard here. Maybe I'll just go towards the stern a little bit. This is the raised salon or deck saloon that you probably saw from inside in the other video. There are these round port lights, which are pretty much all opening. There are two on the front, three on the side, and there's a bunch of hatches in the different cabins inside. That's the big one into the forward cabin. and the toilet and the shower, and then we've got here the main sort of hall or walkway downstairs or down below, and also there's the guest cabin. And I did time this video so that you would hear the bells in Harlingen. It's quite a feature. On the hour and on the half hour there's church bells that ring, and I'm not sure how they ring. Maybe it's monks hand ringing, hopefully, but it could also be computer controlled. I don't really know, but the romance of it is still nice. So if I just sort of go back here, you can see this is the bimini. I'm going to try to show you. So this was something that we had sort of spent quite a lot of time thinking about, and it does provide shade, which is something we felt was really important, and it also does protect you from the rain. But if you're staying in sort of northern climates, when the sun's out, it's gonna shade you. But we've got sort of tired of the sun, living in Atlanta for so long, and we're hoping to go south, so that's the reason that we went with it. The plan also is to mount a lot of solar panels on it. So you can see the cockpit. We've got the wheel, and there's a whole bunch of instruments down there. Controls for the engine. There's winches, which are also stainless, which I really love. Anderson winches, and I just go aboard, hopefully without dropping my phone. Oh yeah, there's a really cool step that Heel added here, so it's easy to, there's scuppers back there for draining the deck, but this particular one, you just sort of stick your foot in, and it's really neat for getting aboard. And I'm just going to go to the bow, and here you can see sort of big slabs of teak which are on top of the bowsprit, and it's actually quite neat. You can walk forward, and if you're agile, step off the front. We thought about maybe trying to put a ladder, so if you're doing sort of Scandinavian mooring, that's the style, and you can get off the front onto the rocks, or maybe onto a floating deck like this. And so that is the two foresails I mentioned, and then we've got the inner jib, and here, these are the two port lights which are opening. We must close them before we go sailing. He'll made that very clear to me. It's my responsibility. And here we have a self-tapping or self-tacking jib track. So if it's windy and you're just using the small jib, then this is a really cool way to be able to sort of tack upwind. And you can see on the mast here there's a whole bunch of lines or ropes. Those are halyards, so for pulling up the various sails I've talked about, then these are the halyards that allow you to do that. Here you've got, this sort of is the standing rigging, shrouds, there's sort of inner shrouds and outer shrouds, all really beefy stuff. I'll also mention that the mooring lines are attached to these, really massively built cleats that are, super strong. So we're really pleased with the way they look. And I'll just sort of pan up the mast here, just so you can see. This is the mainsail that furls into the main, and you can see that there's, I think they call it a mandrel, sort of like a spiral thing there. So you pull on these lines and it'll furl the sail into the mast, and then you can sort of pull the sail out as well. This is the boom, and this is the vang or the kicking strap, which is essential for sort of sail shape, and there's lots of different blocks. A little overwhelming when we looked at it at first, but we're starting to sort of understand it better. Here we've got that bright sort of silver thing is a vents, and we've got several of those that vent into the various cabins below. Here's one for the galley, so when we're cooking down in the kitchen or the galley, we do have the ability to sort of get some of the air out of the boat. And also the companionway hatch here is really the best way to get ventilation if you're boiling water or making pasta or whatever. And you can see the top of the bimini. The idea is that we mount a whole bunch of solar panels on here, and that's a project for another day, where we'd have to, find out the best way to really mount them. So I'm hoping I'll be able to do that in a few months. And then if I come back here, you can see the cockpit, and it's quite large. I think that you could fit 6-8 people around here pretty easily. And this is this Surface Series Flexi Teak, so it's really like a not real teak. It's maintenance free, but it does look like teak that's a little weathered. And then this is a really nice table that was made. This is actually real teak, and it unfolds and is really useful. And the companionway doors here, they're also real teak, and I'm tempted to varnish them. That's my plan at some point. This here is the Traveller, and it's used for really adjusting the mainsail and getting the right sail shape. So we're going to start playing with that and learning more about it. And in the bimini here, we have a window, so when we're sailing, we can look through the, apologies, it's been dirty and we're not quite sure how best to clean it without scratching it, but you can see the sails, and I can stand quite easily under this without any real problems, so I'll just leave it hanging there for now. And then the last thing I wanted to show, well, a few things, is this is the lever for raising and lowering the centerboard. So she will actually sit on the sand, on the mud, if you pull the board up, which is one of the key features that I really liked. It sort of reminded me of a sailing dinghy, and if you misjudge the tides, then it's really not too much of a hassle. And then we've got a wheel, and it's hydraulic steering. You can see this little thing here is full of hydraulic oil, and there's a really large and beefy autopilot below that when you switch it on, it'll steer the boat, and actually the wheel won't spin, which was sort of surprising when that when I first experienced that. But it really is an awesome design, and we're really pleased with it. And we've got a couple of plotter. We've got a big plotter. I think it might be 9-inch plotter, and then a couple of other instruments there. And then on top of that, we've got a controls for the bow thruster, which is really an important feature that I'm mastering right now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I wanted to keep it under sort of 12-15 minutes. Look at that winch shine. That's the port side, and this is the starboard winch. Anyway, I'll close it here, and if you have any questions, just please ask, and I'll be happy to provide as much information as I can. Cheers, bye.